By the chairman, brother president, members of the head table, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, children, I greet you all with the salutation of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. We are here today. We gather here this afternoon to pray. Today, and if I should begin, the basis of what we are doing here today has been established in Islam. It begins from Salatul Janazah. If we are not allowed to pray for the dead, then there would have been no Salatul Janazah. What is the essence of Salatul Janazah? I think that I'm speaking to primarily 95% of an Islamic audience here today. Salatul Janazah brings friends and family together to pray for the deceased. It is a moment in the relatives and friends and family, the community at large, to offer a prayer on behalf of that person. So we are now praying from the death, from the inception of the death. Allahumma gfir lahu warhamhu. This is what our Prophet has taught us. When someone dies, the first words that we will utter, that we will establish, or we will pray on behalf of that person, from the time that it is being brought to our attention of his or her death, we say, "Oh Allah, forgive him or her." That is the dua. So the dua process begins from the time of the death of that person. What we are doing here is of the form establishment in the Islamic authority that established that we are to pray for those who has gone to the graveyard. That they will come, that when we pray, we say, "Oh Allah, forgive the present and the absent. Forgive the deceased and the person who is alive." So we are allowed in Islam to pray for the deceased. Where did this act of 40 day came in from? And this is a fact that we need to address and we need to understand. Because sometimes we have been attacked. Or it has been brought to our attention. We follow traditions that has no foundation. Or we imitate other people's religion. It has gone to the pages of the Holy Quran. The cycle of every single fetus from the time that child, that fetus is being planted in the womb of the mother. Every single 40th day, there is a different stage that is being developed. That is from the inception. When the person dies, from the day of death, or from the moment of death until the 40th day after the death. This is the Hayat al-Barzakiyya now. This is the time that when the person spends in the grave. Within that 40th day, that person sees his or her life beyond what will happen beyond Barzakh. In stage 4. There is a moment now of things being changed in the records of this person. Because the Prophet ﷺ established very clearly that the person still continues to benefit in his or her grave after the person's death. If the person has left, if the person has done Sadaqatul Jariyah. Sadaqatul Jariyah is actions of goodness. Anything of goodness that that person has done will come his or her way now to benefit that person in the grave. As long as people continue to benefit from what he has done, it is being used. For example, he or she has built masjid, school, wells, roads. People continue to use these acts of charitable institution that has been created by the doer of that act, the person now is being benefited. أو عمل أو علما ينتفع به, or if that person has taught any good information, any beneficial knowledge, the doer, the one who is the teacher, as long as people benefit and continue to benefit, and this is passed on, and anyone benefit, whether academic or Islamic alike, the person, the great benefits them. Or waladun salih yad'u lahu, or if the person who dies and gone to the great beyond, for example, our sister who has gone to the great beyond approximately 1 month ago, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, her relatives, her brothers, her sisters, her niece, her nephew, all those who have rights, they assemble, and they assemble those to join them in act of goodness, whether it takes the form of recitation of Quran, whether it is only to feed the poor, or whether it's to feed the rich. One, it is something being offered in the name of that deceased received the reward. Not only the deceased is benefited from that act of kindness or good, but the doer of that good also is being rewarded. So it's a twofold here. I do the good, I will be rewarded. The good is intended for my relative will benefit from this also. And that is why we are here today. Not only limited to the recitation of Quran, not only limited to Islamic teachings, not only limited to the publication of Islamic books, but even act of fasting, even act of praying salah. The Prophet ﷺ, he was questioned one day by a companion. He said, Ya Rasulullah, my parents, when he came towards the last part of his life, my father was not in the act of salah, out of the sickness that he went through. He was not able to pray the salah. Can I pray the salah on behalf of him that he missed it? Ya Rasulullah, he said yes. He will get the benefit. He will receive that reward. He was questioned also. My mother, she was not able to fast on the last day before her death. If I fast on behalf of her qada fasting that she missed, would she receive the reward? He said yes. This go for Hajj also. This go for sacrifice, for Qurbani also. Any act of goodness that we do on behalf of the deceased, it reaches that person. Not only limited to Quranic function. But where did this come in? On the 40th day, that is a measuring point for that person who is now in the state of Barzakh. It will be determined his future place in Jannah or Jahannam. So this is why the relatives and the close ones who have rights over this death, they will gather, they will assemble every night. Also, when the person dies, that soul is within that environment for 40 days where that person passed away, where that person lived in, that home. That person has, that soul is within that environment. Another point is, we do not have such practice that we say we do a year work in Islam. But we remember the dead constantly, in every prayer. But nothing is wrong. It is not incorrect if we remember the dead on an annual basis. And we were to assemble people in such a nature. It is not wrong, but we do not make it a continuous practice that I have to do this. This is a must, that if I do not do it, I will be sinned. This is where it comes in as what is being counted as innovation. But for me to do an act for my deceased relative or to give charity, it reaches that person who it is intended for, and there is much evidence in the Islamic. And we pray for the dead. Even when we go to the cover, I was only reading the hadith of the Fajr this morning. A companion came, a lady who was the wife of a scholar of the time of the past, she went to visit her husband at the cemetery. And she said to him, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In the night she saw him in the dream. And what did he say? Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. That may Allah bless you. He was happy with her. And he was conscious in that grave that his wife came and she visited him and she said the greeting of salam to him. And when we visit the grave or the cemetery, we must be conscious and do not make it a place in which we will go for festivity. When we go to the cemetery, we are to enter into the cemetery with respect and adab, in a state of wudu. And we are not to trample over the graves, but to walk at the side of the burial of the person. And to stand at the head side and to say Assalamu alaikum, because the person is conscious here. That person, the soul is now there within that environment. And we turn to the face of that person. So we know the person is in the direction of the Qibla. We turn to the face because we have to make contact with that person. And we recite at the head the first ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah. And at the foot side we recite the last portion of Surah Al-Baqarah. Amana Rasulu bima unzila ilayhi min rabbih. And then we pray for the dead. Our scholars also add that if we pray Surah Yasin, it is full of merit also. Surah Yasin, if we pray Surah Yasin, if you're not able to recite the entire Yasin, even a few verses of Surah Yasin, it brings great blessings to that deceased. So any act, whether recitation of Quran, whether it is doing actions for that dead, whether it is giving charity, whether it is to pray 2 rak'ah nafil on behalf of that deceased, whether it is to make a roza, a fasting on behalf of that deceased, every act that we do of goodness reaches the person who it is being intended for, and you, the doer of that good, you will also be rewarded. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and bless us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. May Allah show us right as right and help us to follow that which is right, and show us evil as evil and help us to stay far from that which is evil. May Allah bless the children, the grandchildren, and all those who have made today's event an event of Fatiha, of praying on behalf of the dead, of assemble us here, and to remember the deceased relative, not only the mother, but all Muslims in general who have gone to the great beyond. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pardon them and have mercy upon them in the graves. Wa jazakumullah khairan wa barakallah.
Jazakallah.